AITA for insulting my father's girlfriend and telling her to get out of our lives. Oop had a wonderful relationship with her mother growing up. When she was 11, her mother died in a car accident. 2 years later, her father started dating Nicole. Nicole and Dad got married 4 years later after the accident. Dad came out of his shell, but changed. Oop and Sis were neglected, both emotionally and physically. At one point Oop's sister needed stitches and the neighbor had to drive the kids because they had been left alone and Dad refused to come back to get them, partially due to Nicole. He eventually made it to urgent care. Tipping point came when the father, who had always celebrated with the kids for their mom's birthday, forgot mom's birthday and instead went on a trip with Nicole, got delayed and didn't call the kids or say anything about missing the birthday. From the Post. Not even a week later, my father has the nerve to tell us about an exciting surprise. Nicole is pregnant. I get angry and tell my father you need to knock her ass up when you can't even be here for us. I then look at Nicole and tell her she is a disgusting piece of trash and to get out of our lives. My father gets angry and yells at me to go up to my room. Later, my grandpa unexpectedly came over to pick me up. My father didn't text me shit. Even as I left, he wouldn't even look at me. It's been 2 days, and I'm still at my grandparents' home. I feel ashamed for saying what I said, yet I don't feel overwhelming regret. AITA. Edit. When I saw how deep the cut was, I immediately called my dad. He was staying over at Nicole's place at the time. When I called, Nicole picked up. She said, "Hello." I said, "Sister's name is bleeding. Can you pass the phone to Dad?" She said, "Dad's name is busy. I can't." And, immediately afterwards, she disconnected the phone. I then left to go get my neighbor. Update. Same post. I've decided to contact my maternal grandpa tomorrow. I'll let you know how it goes. Relevant comments. I am 17, my sister is 13, my dad is 44, and Nicole is 34. Grandparents and their role in this. I didn't touch on this before, but I am currently living with my paternal grandparents. They live the closer to us than my maternal side grandpa. I've tried talking to my paternal grandparents too, but it was also a very wishy-washy conversation. Not to say it didn't help at times, but it's clear that they were justifying my dad's actions at every chance rather than hearing me out. I don't want to live like this. I hate holding resentment, but I can't help it. I've asked my dad about therapy, but he doesn't believe in that type of support. You said you talked to your school counselor. What do they say? They can't point me towards a resource without my dad's consent. The conversations usually end with to continue to speak with my dad. I don't expect them to have a solution to every situation, but it would be nice to just be heard fully. I also have to censor a few details when I speak with them, because they have sent police officers to my house in the past. My dad was angry about that situation, and I don't want him to feel angry with me. As for therapy, my dad doesn't believe in therapy or counseling, so I'm limited with options. Oop is voted NTA. Mini update to Sing Post, November 22nd, 2023. 2 days later. TLDR, Oop calls maternal grandpa and tells him everything. She asks if she can live with grandpa, but he indicates he can't do anything without father's approval. Oop wonders if there is a legal approach, but grandpa says he wouldn't be able to see us if it got that far. From the Post. My grandpa also shared some new info regarding my dad. According to him, when I was 14 and my sister was 10, my dad dropped us over at my grandpa's farm since he and Nicole were flying out. A day after they returned, my grandpa dropped us back home. We were still sleeping in grandpa's car when this ordeal happened, but when my grandpa knocked on the door, my dad answered the door drunk out of his mind. From what little he could see, my grandpa saw that the house was a mess. He told my dad that he would bring us back the following day once my dad was in his right mind. We left back to grandpa's place. Then, my grandpa got a call from my dad the next morning, threatening him with the police if he didn't bring us back immediately. My grandpa mentioned that he would speak with my paternal grandparents to see if something can be done about our situation. Update December 27th, 2023. 5 weeks from Ogpost. Hi everyone, it's been a while. I really want to thank all of you for your perspectives and advice. Just wanted to give an update regarding Thanksgiving dinner. When my dad and Nicole arrived, I asked if I could speak with them both. My dad said he didn't want to talk and went into the living room. Nicole still remained by the front door, so I apologized for insulting her. She replied that she needed to leave and went to the living room. Overall, she still seemed rightfully angry with me. Dinner was awkward because my grandma would try to get my dad and I to talk, but he wouldn't really bother. After dinner, I pulled him aside and apologized again. He ignored me and went straight to Nicole. I still wasn't sure if I was heading back with him or not, so I packed everything just in case. When he was getting ready to leave, I asked him if I could come back home. He said Nicole wasn't comfortable having me home, Even though it had been a few days since the incident, I spent the entire night crying on the phone with my sister. Survive of rest of post. Maternal grandpa tells paternal grandparents he's concerned about Oop's mental health and asks they put Oop in therapy. Paternal grandparents only say they will take Oop to a faith leader who specializes in grief counseling and refuse to negotiate. Maternal grandpa reams them out in dad and says it was ridiculous for a grown man to throw out their daughter, and it was shameful that my paternal grandparents are not hard-pressed in helping me get back home. Oop is now going to weekly private sessions with the faith leader, and while she is not entirely happy, it does seem to be helping them process their grief. Oop apologized a lot to her dad through text, but he refuses to respond. Maternal grandfather called and dad has him blocked. Oop is still living with grandpa. I also wasn't invited to my dad and Nicole's Christmas dinner, which hurt, but I'm starting to not care to have a relationship with my dad. I don't know if my feelings will change. In a twisted way, it was good he didn't let me go back home with him. The space has helped me focus on myself. Relevant comment. Is your sister still in the house? I ran out of characters in the update, but my sister is still living with my dad. She visits me over weekends and I've walked home with her from school, so I still have some contact. Oop's comment on BORU post January 3rd, 2024, 7 days later. Hi everyone, I'm feeling overwhelmed with the amount of messages, but I want to say that I am not literate regarding the laws around my situation. Regarding my sister and I's college fund, my mom worked in a small boutique, and some money earned through that was set aside. While my dad worked as a consultant, and I do know he did put some money into the funds too. I don't know if my sister and I received any money regarding benefits or any monetary inheritance from my mom after she passed. I'm still understanding a great deal of information and writing everything out first. I even recently opened up a bank account with my grandparents' help, so now I will not be dependent on him for simple monetary needs. I have thought about emancipation, but in less than a year, I'll be 18, so I am not sure if that avenue is worth my energy given everything else. Also, thank you for leaving info in the comments. I'll certainly be looking into all of that. Also, I know it is a small percentage of people, but please don't send me messages telling me to do violent things to my dad or Nicole or wishing harm on their baby. I don't need that, nor would I wish it upon anybody. Update. TLDR of post. Oop had scheduled a meeting with her counselor and let it slip to the sister that it was happening. Sis started freaking out and that it would hurt the dad if he was reported. She still planned on going to the meeting when dad was out of town. However, dad called Oop and told Oop that if I ever wanted a place to live again, to not spread lies about him to the counselor. Sis told Oop she accidentally let it slip that Oop was going to talk to the counselor. Oop goes to the meeting and tells counselor what is going on, but asks him to not notify Oop's dad. Counselor gave Oop mental health pamphlets and made a follow-up appointment, but didn't answer her questions about what will happen next. A day later, paternal grandpa told Oop that the school called Oop's father to set up a meeting with the counselor. Grandpa yelled at Oop and told her they'll take the baby and sis away, and Oop wasn't raised to lie. Oop gets grounded. Oop doesn't know what happened in the meeting, but knows a police officers was present and they'll do a wellness check. Dad denied everything and told them Oop was just spiteful about losing her mom. Oop isn't in a great mental space, and as punishment, the grandma stopped taking her to the faith leader. Update. Hi everyone, I'm only making a mini update. During the meeting with the counselor and police officers, my father knew to expect a wellness check. In fact, he's been home early every single day last week, which is unlike him. My sister texted me last Tuesday that our father came home early from work and told her to behave. She was panicking and freaking out, so I called her to help her calm down. I explained to her that police officers might come over for a wellness check, and she should answer the police officers' questions honestly. I again don't know specifically what transpired during the wellness check, but my sister told me that the officers came to ask my father some questions and asked her if she was okay. I asked her what she told the officers, and she told him that she was fine. Nothing has come out of it. As soon as my sister texted me on that Tuesday, I tried sneaking out to go over to my dad's home before the officers comes, but my grandpa caught me. He brought me back inside, and we had a yelling match, to put it lightly. I yelled at him saying he doesn't care for my sister and I. He yelled at me saying he was tired of my spoiled ass and that I should be grateful that I still get food and a bed after the foolishness I recently pulled at school. I left in the middle of his rant to calm down in my room. My grandma came up shortly afterwards to check on me. She said that your dad and grandpa are going through a lot to figure out this mess, and to please not make it worse for her sake and for mine. I asked her what she meant by for my sake and hers. She said that I need to mature and act like an adult and to not cause her stress. Then, she said, you need to stop stressing Nicole. You know, The poor woman has been calling me crying about what you did. She's scared for the baby. After she said that, I did not have the energy to enter into another yelling match, so I told my grandma that I needed some space and left. The counselor did not follow up with me during school last week. Also, I think it's for the best right now. My sister had a panic attack last week. They almost called paramedics because she couldn't stop hyperventilating. I know she is suffering and doesn't need anything else placed on her mentally. I also don't want to break her trust again after going to the counselor. She is the type of person to keep things to herself if there isn't a strong rapport. If she is going through something, she will not tell you unless you force her hand. I still want her to feel safe and open when she speaks with me. I'm still evaluating my options and trying to find the best path forward. Side note, I keep getting questions about this in my DMs. My father, as far as I know, currently does not drink excessively or do hard drugs. To know, Nicole is not my stepmother. She is just engaged to my father. 3. I am not going to run away. I'm not careless enough to do that given everything. Tiny update Sing post, around February 8, 2024 10 days later. I'm now living at a friend's home. Edit. I noticed that my post has been posted on Facebook and TikTok. I understand this is a public forum, but if you could, please refrain from sharing or sending my post on other platforms. I'm getting a little scared that my dad or grandparents may find it on FB, or my friends might find it on TikTok. Thank you. Relevant comment. Nicole is staying over at my grandparents' place because she has bad nausea and fatigue from the pregnancy and needs my grandma's help. Nicole's mother isn't flying in for another week, so she is staying over for the interim. Since there is only one other spare room, my grandparents asked me to stay at a friend's house for a week. Update Sing post, February 15, 2024 1 week later, almost 3 months from on post. My sister is in the hospital. She got into a physical fight. Maternal grandpa is coming in tonight. Update, February 18, 2024 3 days later. This will be my final update for a while. Over a week ago, my grandparents asked me to live at my friend's place for a week, since Nicole needed my grandma's help with the pregnancy. For context, Nicole has severe fatigue and nausea, and her mom was coming in a week later. Also, my grandparents have only one extra bedroom, which is why they asked me to live at my friend's place. I was not mad about the arrangement. I got to be away from everyone, which was helpful. My father and Nicole's relationship. My father is working, so he is unable to take time off to help Nicole, hence, her needing my grandma and her mom's assistance. After overhearing a conversation with my grandma and Nicole, I learned that both of them have a lot of stress, and it's making her feel depressed. That's all I know about them. Sister in hospital. 3 days ago, my sister ended up in the hospital. My sister has been bullied for a long time. We've reported it to the school numerous times, but nothing is ever done about it. A girl who has been harassing her online started name-calling and laughing at her while they were walking to class. My sister, then, pushed the girl away from her, which escalated to a physical fight. The girl bashed my sister's head into the locker while they were fighting. My sister was then unconscious, and the school immediately called emergency services. My grandparents went to the hospital, and I went when I was done with school. My maternal grandpa drove in that night. My sister ended up with a severe concussion, but she came back home on Friday. She is doing better but is still having bad headaches. The bully was suspended, but nothing else was done. DT in all of this mayhem, my dad did not show up once at the hospital. Living situation. I am now living with my maternal grandpa, but my sister is living at my dad's place. My grandma has been going over to check on her, but the fact that she is still living alone in the home is worrying me. She's still recovering from everything, and no one is fucking there for her. My maternal grandpa asked my dad if he could take my sister with him for a week, and he said no. This POS also threatened to call the cops on my maternal grandpa again. I'm calling the cops on him after he leaves for work on Monday. IDK, what else to do to get her out of this situation? Relevant comment. Your sister absolutely needs someone with her. That's the only reason why I'm calling the cops. No one is there with her. My grandma comes for 15 to 20 minutes and leaves for the rest of the day. She threw up twice on Saturday, and no one was home when it happened. Also, I have no idea if my grandma would show up if my sister called for help. I'm now 2 hours away, so I can't go. The following dated updates are on the same post. February 19, the cops and my grandma found my sister unconscious in the house. She's in the hospital again, and they think she hit her head again when she fell. CPS is now involved. February 21, Nicole decided to hold her impromptu sex reveal party this weekend while my sister is in the hospital, and my dad is involved in a CPS investigation. IDKWTF, she is thinking. This woman has fatigue and extreme nausea, and thinks she has the energy to entertain her entourage. Also, On a more important note, my sister is recovering well, but she is being kept at the hospital for longer observation. February 23, my grandpa is searching for a lawyer to seek custody, and my dad is being actively questioned. Relevant comments. Tie for your well wishes as of today. My dad is being actively questioned, and Nicole ended up pushing the gender reveal party back. My grandpa and I talked about my sister's situation, and he is in the process of obtaining a lawyer. Hopefully, she'll be able to stay with us soon. February 24 update. My sister had a seizure, so my grandpa and I drove back in tonight. Grandpa wants to press charges against the bully. Relevant comment. You are absolutely doing the right thing, and your dad is abusive. Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow and even harder to accept reality as it is. I had to keep telling myself that he's not my dad anymore, nor will he ever be. Rewiring the way you see a familiar person isn't easy at all, and I have questioned many of my decisions the past 2 months, but it gets for the better. Another one of my biggest fears was losing a sense of family. Though he was never there or my paternal grandparents sided with him, there was still the idea of family. But even for that, I had to rework through those feelings and understand why I felt that way. It's a process to keep telling yourself that this is not how a family is supposed to be. February 26 update. I'll be meeting with a CPS worker this week. Also, the doctor is suspecting my sister may have a more severe TBI than previously thought, so she is going to stay at the hospital this week. Nicole announced she was having a girl after my sister was admitted to the hospital for the 3rd time. Dad is still nowhere to be seen. Only thing he has done is called my maternal grandma, telling her he'll be out of town this week. February 27. My sister has mobility issues. They don't know to what extent yet. February 29. My sister will need physical therapy for the next few months, but she is slowly recovering. The school has extended the bully's suspension, and school administrators have started direct communication with grandparents. I have the meeting with CPS today after school. March 1st, CPS meeting went well. A lot of the questions centered around my sister's situation, but I brought up the urgent care situation and my dad's absence. I brought along conversation recordings too, but they really couldn't do anything with them. I heard that they will speak with a couple more family members and Nicole. Update 5, March 4th, 2024 5 months from Mog Post. I really want to thank you guys for your support and wonderful advice. This has been a crazy roller coaster in general, but I'm glad it's finally coming to an end. There is still a lot more I'll go through, but I'm relieved that my sister is safe. Just to preface, all of this literally happened today. My other post was also becoming too long, so I thought to make a new one. At school, the front office lady called me up over the intercom during the middle of my exam. I go over, and I see my dad standing there. This man pulled me out of class, so he can bring me back home. I immediately told him that I'm not coming, and he said I don't have a choice in this and to move. BT during all of this, we are still standing in the front office. I then yell at him to leave, and he yelled at me to shut up and move. Front office lady got involved and asked if there was a problem. I told her that I refused to go back with him and asked her to call my grandpa. My dad then grabbed my arm and tried dragging me out of the front office, and I just kept screaming. The lady called the security officers, and he came over. My dad told him I'm acting like a brat and am the problem child. I told the officers that I now live with my grandpa and not him. They call another officers over, and he tells me that I'm only allowed to leave with my father. The officers leave, and my dad gripped my wrist and pulled me towards his car. Then, he fucking orders me to get into the car or else. I try getting away, but he shoves me into the passenger seat. He then warned me not to try anything and drove off back to his house. He then says I have to care for my sister while he's at work this week because I'm responsible for what happened to her, and this is my way of paying back for everything I put him through. He then texts me a minute after he leaves telling me to not fucking try anything and that he'll physically discipline me if he has to. BT, he has never physically hurt me or severely threatened me like this before, so it was frightening when I saw the text. A while after he left, I called the cops and said I was taken against my will back to his house and told them about him manhandling me. Cops came over, and maternal grandpa came over. Since no caretaker was home for my sister, and my father didn't pick up his phone, the cops allowed my grandpa to take her back home with us. They located my father a bit ago and arrested him. It's a shit show RN, but now, my sister is living with me and maternal grandpa, so she is at least safe. Relevant comments. Switching schools. I'm probably going to finish up HS at the same place, since I got 2 months left, but I've asked my grandpa to consider homeschooling for my sister. I feel a bit safer that he's gone for now. Document the bruises. Also, hopefully the school cameras caught what happened. I wasn't able to record in the car, but the cops did note down the bruising on my wrists and head. I didn't even think about mentioning the school cameras. I'll find a way to relay that info. How was sis when you went back to the house? Was she alone? She was still in bed, and no one came by to wake her up to have lunch or breakfast, so she was left hungry. It's an unsafe situation because she can still faint or pass out, and after the other incident of her passing out on the hardwood floor, she sustained another concussion. I have no fucking idea why she was alone. My grandma supposedly comes by to check up on her during the morning and afternoon, but my sister needs constant supervision. Again, all additional updates are added to the same post. March 6, my grandpa noticed bruising around the nape of my sister's neck, and I noticed a lot of bruising on one part of her abdomen while helping her change. The bruising could not have come from her fall, or the fight she had a couple weeks ago. We're suspecting the worst and have reported and documented the bruises. My sister is also not in a state where she is able to fully hold conversations, but from what she was able to tell me, my dad hit her on the neck and threw something at her stomach while she was asleep. Everything has been reported to CPS and police. Relevant comment. Paternal side family called yesterday and started going off on me. I got called a lot of things and was told I was no longer welcome in their family. If they can do whatever they want. School is a 20-minute walk and a 6-minute drive from my father's home, but after what happened, I doubt that my father would try to pull something like that again. Also, after the whole call, I blocked them all on everything. I have no intention of speaking or dealing with their business. Regarding the baby, they detected a heart abnormality. They are going to a specialist in a couple more weeks to figure out what exactly is the issue, but the fact that they suck at basic parenting worries me about the baby's care after she is born. Random side note, Nicole is not even Christian, but grandparents have looked past that the entirety of her and my father's relationship. They have always shitted on me for not attending Sunday school or volunteering more at the church. The people there, aside from 2 to 3 individuals, respect my grandparents greatly and are one and all the same. They will 100% spin this as a child straying from God, and her father trying to save her BS. Also, this is the same church that kicked a woman out for a suspect at abortion. It was never confirmed. Instead, it was a rumor spread by another member of the church. Slowly and maturely, everyone stopped associating with the woman. These are also the same people who claim my mother's death was part of God's plan to help the drunk driver who killed her reach closer to God. This exchange. Commenter, if your paternal grandparents try to contact you, make sure you get it in writing or record the convo if you are in a one-party state. If you're able to get a lawyer, pro bono or through funds, make them talk to you through a lawyer. I hope karma gets them really bad. Commenter, I don't know about Nicole, but definitely feels like your dad has been lying to everyone. I won't be surprised if you told her you and your sister were with grandparents when he was out and about with her. March 8th, I didn't think he can get any scummier than he is, but today through my lawyer, I found out that this POS just got charged with possession of child P. Apparently, they searched his phone regarding a situation involving my sister when they came across the graphic pictures. I sincerely hope he rots in hell. Relevant comments. Commenter, oh gosh, your dad is disgusting for him to have such horrible material. I hope he didn't do anything heinous to your sister. Sis, I'll never know if he was like this before, but I really hope he wasn't. Sister does have suicidal ideations, but after she recovers a bit, my grandpa already has a potential therapist lined up. We are worried about her. She's gone through more than me by a mile and hasn't gotten a semblance of health. From conversations I overheard between my grandpa and other family members, it is highly likely she'll be homeschooled for a year or so. News has already reached the church and school. I've had people ask me about it indirectly, but I just changed the topic. No one has pushed the convo though. March 12th, Nicole is in the hospital because she was bleeding heavily and don't know if the baby is okay. March 19th, my sister is recovering well, and she will be starting PT soon. I also committed to a BIS divided by MD program yesterday. Nicole and the baby are okay. The police are looking into Nicole for something, but IDK for what? March 20th comment. I got 2 scholarships which will cover my part of the cost, but I'll be working so not to worried about that. Grandpa has offered therapy multiple times, but I've been a little scared restarting the process and going through it again. Bully is in the process of being expelled, and there is an internal investigation going on with the handling of the situation. Grandpa moved forward to press charges, but I really don't know much on that front. He has been deliberately keeping me out of the loop to not stress me out. March 22nd, they found CP on her phone and computer too, and she's been booked. March 23rd comment, a fake. There isn't anything suggesting they did anything sexually to her. However, this is only backed by my sister's word and the lack of physical evidence. The CP predates October divided by November when I originally left, so if anything was going on, I would have known. Regardless, I don't think there's much we can do if she is deliberately hiding something, and the chances of that are pretty slim. I only hear about paternal side though family friends, through classmates whose parents attend the same church, or through my maternal grandpa. They apparently did not attend church this past Sunday so. March 29th, Grandpa told me that paternal grandparents are petitioning for custody of my sister and me. April 11th, TW, suicide attempt. I have not posted any updates, because I'm focused on my sister. She's in the hospital again and is recovering slowly. I've been mentally shaken up by the whole thing. I should have been at home more watching her. Grandpa is already stressed out as hell, and IDK had to help him at all. April 14th comment. We started taking her to therapy after her PT appointment twice a week. My grandpa can't afford it out of pocket and has been struggling with the insurance people. Somehow, paternal side got a wind of the financial issues and started pursuing another petition for custody of only my sister under the guise of covering her medical expenses. The therapist never shared with us if she mentioned anything of it. I'm pretty sure she didn't anyways. She's reserved in many ways and keeps her struggles to herself unless she feels truly comfortable with you, which takes a while to establish. However, she mentioned situations regarding physical abuse, which has been sent to police for record. April 28th comment. After her hospitalization, we learned that she developed partial blindness in her left eye and refuses to speak to anyone. I tried to talk to her, but she ignores me and sits in silence. She isn't speaking to anybody, not even the doctors. Also, the judge granted paternal grandparents primary custody of her to finance the medical expenses. Grandpa is in the process of selling off a portion of the farm to pool more money. She had acute liver failure and is still considered a potential danger to herself, so she is still there. May 3rd, we finally got an official court date for his trial. May 5th comment. Hey, I'm doing much better now. Sister will be discharged later this week, but will be going home with paternal grandparents for a bit. I DK much about specifics, but my grandpa filed a civil lawsuit against them for my sister's injury when she fell down. We still haven't gotten a buyer yet for the property, so I'm not sure where we'll get more money. I'm also looking to defer my enrollment because of it. May 25th, my grandpa has unexpectedly passed away. Editor's note: to clarify, this is the maternal grandfather that passed, the only decent adult in this story. Update 6, June 7th, 2024. 6 months from Og post. 2 weeks from last update. My grandpa passed away in May. He was meeting with a friend after a meeting with the lawyers when it happened. I truly do not know how to feel. Everything after was a blur, and I am still having to deal with the aftermath of it. The funeral was rushed and messy. He was not even buried next to my grandmother, but was cremated against his wishes. I was never once asked what my grandpa would have wanted. It seemed like people wanted to get over it and move on. I don't even have my grandpa's urn, and I don't know who has it now or what happened to it. I was never given a moment to breathe. Within a week of his passing, I was moved to 2 different homes of relatives I've never met. I've lost a lot of contact with my sister. She is less and less responsive to my calls or texts. My relative is trying to arrange a meeting for us by communicating with my paternal grandparents. He told me that he met with my sister, and she was healthy and doing well. IDK, what's going to come from the custody issues now? June 9th, the custody battle is officially dropped, and there is a visitation agreement being worked out. He has been sentenced already. Northeast W updates. July 15th, 1+ month later. I met her this past weekend, and she seems to be doing well. July 29th comments. Says, greater than we are talking regularly now. She has access to her devices, and I have met up with her recently. She seems to be doing fine, but I am not living with her. Legal statuses. Greater than he dad is currently in jail but not her, Nicole. She was able to prove that he downloaded the pics on her device without her knowledge. She did give birth in June to a girl. Her daughter was born with a congenital heart defect and will need surgery when she is a couple months older. I have not met her, nor do I want to. I just wish her and her child the best. Wysis is living with maternal grandparents. Greater than my paternal grandparents have custody of my sister because they have the financial capability to pay for her medical bills. They've disowned me for a while now, and I don't wish to live with them anyways. I am living with his cousin, who have a kid around my sister's age. Have they reached out to Udivided by seeing Udivided by bully status? Greater than no. We haven't had contact since around the time of the funeral, and even then, it was to ask contact information for my grandpa's friend. They have not asked about me nor have they seen me in months. I have seen my sister in person twice now, so it's not like they are preventing me from visiting her. Before, they wouldn't allow me in their home, and my sister had frequent doctor visits, so I am guessing so she can focus on her health. Edric, bully only received suspension. Final July 31st, 2024. 8 months from Og post. I am personally done speaking on my situation. I'm getting ready for college and am back in contact with my sister. She has recovered well with a few things still ongoing. A lot of the other things still pending may take months to resolve. However, I am ready to move on. Thank you all for the advice and well wishes. Edit, I am extremely grateful for all the supportive messages, especially over the last couple months. But I've also been getting a good amount of angry or demanding messages regarding to continue giving updates. I am not going to elaborate or speak on him or the trial. To those of you messaging me about that, I hope you can respect that.